All right. Thank you. All right, so tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, go. All right, so looking at the full brain, you have the frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, and the occipital lobe. You have the longitudinal fissure, and then the parts that sink in, that's dark here, is the sulci, and the bumps on the top are called gyri. Okay, if you look at the side view, you'll see a central sulcus with the prefrontal gyrus in the front and the postcentral gyrus in the back. Not the best, but you have a lateral sulcus here that separates the parietal from the temporal lobe, and then you have the transverse fissure that separates the cerebellum from the cerebrum. In your book, it's transverse cerebral fissure. Okay, if you look on the bottom side of this, you can start to see the olfactory bulb with the olfactory tract. You can see it a little bit better there, olfactory tract. And then you have the optic nerves that meet together to form the optic chiasm right here. Okay, so you can also see just a little bit of the remnants of that right here. Okay, and then you have the cerebellum, the pons, medulla, and that's about as much as you can see on that. When you look at the sagittal section here, first what you want to do is you want to look for that corpus callosum. It's that white band of white matter that connects the left and the right hemisphere. Just underneath that, you have one of the two lateral ventricles. The other ventricle is going to be in the other hemisphere. And inside that, you have this little stuff coming out called the choroid plexus. This is what makes the cerebral spinal fluid for you. Just underneath that, you have the third ventricle, which is right here. Okay, the floor of it is the thalamus from the diencephalon. And then finally, you have the fourth ventricle that sits on the base of the cerebellum, along with the cerebral aqueduct, which will help with CSF flow. Back up here, you have the thalamus. Just underneath that circle is the hypothalamus, and then you have the infundibulum that will take it to the pituitary gland. Okay, going to the side here, you can also see the superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus, which is inside of that transverse fissure. This is part of the corpora quadrigemina. Just above that, you see a little circle. It's kind of at the end of the corpus callosum right here. That's your epithalamus, otherwise known as your pineal gland. And then if you go into the brain stem here, it's not the best. This one's a little bit better. You look for the little belly. If you find the little belly, you have the pons. Go below that, you have the medulla oblongata, and then above it, you have the midbrain. So just go right above it. And then in front of that, this big belly right here is called your mammillary body. You'll have one on either side there. Okay, and then lastly, your meninges. The tough one on the top is called the dura mater. Underneath is the arachnoid mater, which the cobweb-like structures have been removed. And then adhered like cellophane right on top of the brain is the pia mater. It's a very clear cellophane-like structure right there. And that's it.